Revenge on his wife for cheating on her husband's best friend. Mike watched from his second-floor bedroom window as his wife eagerly embraced Jake Williams, the man who claimed to be his best friend. It was their 5th date together, and by watching and listening, Mike learned of their plan to humiliate him further. He explicitly told Christy that he wanted to spend a whole week with her, but she talked him out of it. "Not a whole week, Jake," she said. "Maybe a weekend, but only on one condition." "What's that?" he asked. "You make Mike pay for it," she said. He laughed. "That's silly," he said. "I'm a lot richer than he is. I'll pay for it." No, she said. "You're forgetting the most important thing." "And what is that?" he asked. "Humiliate Mike," she said. "Admit it. You like humiliating him, don't you? Pushing him around, making him feel like nothing?" "Well," he began, "he's my best friend, you know." "Bullshit," she said. "You enjoy humiliating him almost as much as I do." "Look, Christy, let's end this farce," he pleaded. "Come with me and leave this loser. I want to marry you and spend the rest of my life with you." She laughed. "Tell you what, lover boy," she said. "Let me get him to foot the bill for the hot weekend and we'll see, okay?" Jake sighed, feeling annoyed. "Oh, that'll be messy," he said, getting into the car. "I'll talk to you soon, but don't keep me waiting too long. You're already giving me blue balls." She watched him drive away and then turned toward the house she shared with her husband, Mike. Entering the house, she began to undress as she walked up the stairs. When she entered the bedroom, she saw Mike there, dropping her dress on the floor. Underneath, she was naked. She walked to the bathroom and examined herself, leaving the door open. "You probably heard what we talked about," she said. "I'm leaving you for Jake. We're going somewhere for the weekend, and you're going to pay for it. Soon I'm leaving you to marry him." "I've been crying since I married you 3 years ago," Mike said sadly. "I thought we were doing well. I didn't do anything but love you. Don't you love me?" She snorted. "How can I keep loving you?" she asked wryly. "You're just a wuss who lets his best friend date your wife." She saw him sniffling on the bed. "Oh, grow up," she said. "Is that why you've been disrespecting me for the past few months?" he asked weakly. "Why do you think that is?" she asked. She saw him looking at her with lust in his eyes. With a snort, she shook her head. "Don't even think about it, you weakling," she said. "There's no way I'm letting you touch me. I'm going to get a real man to come and have sex with me properly. You can sit in the chair and watch if you want. Maybe take notes. Maybe I'll let you wash me if you promise to behave." "Damn you, stupid," Mike said, getting out of bed. She watched him walk down the stairs. She followed him and saw him reach for the door. "Where are you going? Somewhere to sulk? How about crying on your mom's shoulder like a baby?" she asked, sarcastically. He looked at her with sadness in his eyes. He had taken what he could from her and swore he wouldn't take any more. "Goodbye, Christy," he said and slammed the door shut. She heard his car door open and then slam shut. A few seconds later, she saw him drive away. Where was he headed? She wondered. She shrugged her shoulders. Away with him, she thought. Get away from the bad trash. She grabbed her phone and dialed. "Hello, lover," she purred. "Wimpy's gone, so why don't you come over and feed me?" 3 days later, Michael pulled up in front of the house. Opening the garage door from the inside, he drove inside and closed the large door. Taking his briefcase, he walked purposefully into the house. Christy was sitting at the kitchen table drinking coffee. He said nothing to her as he made his way to his home office. Curious, Christy went to his study door and tried to enter. The door was locked. Strange, she thought. He never locked that door. She knocked on the heavy wooden door and turned the knob, hearing the lock open. When she opened the door, she saw him sitting at his desk looking at a map on his computer. She knew he was designing a housing development along one of the many lakes in the area and figured that was what he was looking at. "What do you need?" he asked curtly. For a moment she was taken aback. He had never been curt with her before, but she realized she'd been acting rather disrespectful to him lately. "I was worried," she said. "You left 3 days ago and I haven't heard from you. I tried calling your cell phone, but you didn't answer." "I'm sure I did answer," he said wryly. Christy froze for a moment. Was this really her Mike? He looked like Mike, sounded like Mike, but there was something about him that was a little different. Maybe she'd taken him too far. She tried to reach out to him, but he managed to avoid her touch. "Don't you want to kiss your wife?" she asked. "It's been 3 days since I last saw you." He looked at her as if she were an insect being studied under a microscope. He shook his head. "No," he said and went back to his computer. "Please close the door when you leave." Christy was utterly confused. Her husband had never refused her advances and always kissed her whenever he could. This man was cold. She closed the door to his office and went into the bedroom to get the phone. She dialed the number, and on the first ring, a man answered her. "Jake, he's back," Christy said. "But something's not right. It's like he's become a different person. He didn't even kiss me when he came in the house." "Don't worry about it, honey," Jake said. "He probably just realized you were leaving him, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. I'll come over tonight and we'll take care of everything. Just let me talk to him for a few minutes." "Okay," Christy said. "You better be right." Michael listened to her half of the conversation and smiled, returning to his computer. That evening, Jake pulled up in front of the house. Christy opened the door and let him in, bestowing a careless kiss as he entered. "Where is he?" asked Jake. She pointed to the study door. "He's in there all day," she said. "Let me have a word with him alone," Jake said as he walked to the office door. Knocking on the door, he found it locked. "Mike, it's me, Jake, your friend. Can we talk for a few minutes?" The door lock opened, and Jake walked in. "Close the door behind you," Michael said as Jake entered. "Sit down," he ordered, pointing to an empty chair. Jake sat down, and Michael poured himself a drink. "Aren't you going to offer your friend a drink?" asked Jake. Michael looked at him for a moment. "A friend? Are you really my friend?" asked Michael. Jake looked confused. Christy had been right. This was not the weak beta male he was used to dealing with. "Of course," Jake said. "I'm your best friend, remember?" Michael chuckled. "Best friend," he said. "Tell me, what kind of friend steals his friend's wife?" "Hey!" "Mike, I'm sorry," Jake began before Michael interrupted him. "You want Christy, right?" asked Michael. Jake nodded his head. "How much is she worth to you?" "I don't know what you mean, Mike," Jake said. "Don't play dumb, Jake," said Michael. "You're an experienced businessman. You know that you always have to pay a certain price in any negotiation. How much?" "I don't know," Jake said. "What's on your mind?" "I really like your new Bentley," Michael said. "How much did you pay for it?" "I paid over $500,000 for it," said Jake. "I take it it's already been paid for, right?" asked Michael. "Of course," said Jake. "That would be a good start," said Michael. "What?" asked Jake. "You want me to give up my Bentley in exchange for Christy?" Michael smiled. "Along with 25% of your fortune," Michael said. Jake's eyes widened. "That's over $50 million, Jake said. "You're not kidding." "According to my research, it's exactly 52,450,389.25, Michael said. "And I'm serious, very serious." "You want my car and 25% of my fortune in exchange for Christy?" asked Jake. Christy was right. This was not the kind of man he was used to pushing. "This offer is valid until noon tomorrow," said Michael. "After 12 noon, it will increase to 50%, plus a controlling interest in your company. You want Christy? That's my price." "That's highway robbery," Jake said. "You'll never get away with it." "Maybe, maybe not," Michael said, sipping his drink. You want her, though God only knows why. And that's my price. I'll tell you this. You agree to my offer unconditionally, and I'll make sure you both spend the rest of your lives together. Isn't that what you want? Well, yes. I would love to spend the rest of my life with Christy, Jake said. Michael smiled. Agree. And I'll even cook a celebratory dinner for the two of you, Michael said. What do you say? I need time to think it over, Jake said. Michael nodded his head. I'll give you until noon tomorrow, he said. Now please close the door when you leave, he added, signaling that the meeting was over. Jake stood up, embarrassed, and walked out of the office. He watched through the curtains as Jake and Christy left. He smiled and made a few phone calls. Christy didn't get home until early in the morning. He heard them talking in the driveway. Just think about it, Jake said. In a couple days we can start a new life free of Mike. Let me go inside and taste this, he added as he grabbed Christy's body. She smiled and pulled his hand away. Soon, she said. I can't wait for Mike to serve us like a waiter. She kissed him and watched him leave. As she entered the house, she saw the light on in her husband's study. Has he really been there all this time, she thought? She tried the door, but it was locked. Mike? She asked. Go away, Michael said. Christy decided not to impose on him again. She was more than concerned about her husband's strange behavior and went upstairs to the bedroom. The next day, Michael received a text from Jake saying, "It's a deal." He replied with the offshore account number and said he would follow up to make sure the deal was finalized. A couple hours later, he made sure the entire amount was transferred and immediately withdrew it, dividing it among several other accounts that only he had access to. He sent a text to Jake and Christy. Dinner tonight is on me. Be here at 7 p.m. Exactly. He went to get everything he needed for the night's dinner and returned an hour later, working in the kitchen. He loved to cook, and there was something bittersweet about tonight's dinner. Christy got home around 6 o'clock in the evening and headed for the kitchen. She had never known her husband to cook, but he seemed to know his way around a kitchen. Whatever he cooked smelled delicious. I didn't know you cooked, she said. He looked at her for a moment before answering. There's a lot you don't know about me, he said. Maybe if you stayed home from time to time, you'd learn something. I've learned to fend for myself, though. Now go get ready. Your date will be here soon. She tried to kiss his cheek, but he jerked his head to avoid her. She pulled back and ran upstairs, tears running down her face. What have I done? She asked herself. A few minutes before 7, Jake showed up and rang the doorbell. Michael opened the door and let him in. Jake handed him the keys to the Bentley and signed papers. Just as promised, he said. My throat is dry. Can I get something to drink? Thank you for keeping your promise. I'll get you and Christy something to drink soon, Michael said as he tucked his keys into his pocket. He couldn't wait to get behind the wheel of the new Bentley. Soon, Christy was back downstairs, dazzling in a short backless dress that left no doubt. Michael noticed that she had removed her rings. She walked over to the dining room table as Michael pulled out a chair for her. She smiled at him as she sat down, but he didn't return the smile. Jake sat down as well, smiling like a Cheshire cat. You look beautiful, my dear, he told her, kissing her hand. And I see you've taken the rings off. Excellent. She smiled as Michael brought 2 flutes of champagne and set them on the table. He went to the kitchen and returned with a large platter. He removed the lid, and everyone inhaled the aroma of Michael's lasagna. The smell is divine, Mike, Jake said. Perhaps you've missed your true calling. Michael answered nothing, serving 2 servings, 1 for each plate. Christy looked at him. Aren't you going to join us? She asked. Michael shook his head. No, he said. This is your dinner. Enjoy it. He stood back and watched the lovers toast and sip champagne. He retired to his office with a wry smile on his face. He glanced at his watch. Any time now, he thought. Suddenly he heard two thumps. Looking into the dining room, he saw Christy and Jake huddled together. Good, he thought. They'll be gone for at least 6 hours. He changed his clothes and set to work, stripping them both naked and tying their hands and feet together. Taking a wheeled cart from the garage, he wheeled both of them out, wrapping their unconscious bodies with heavy chains to which weights were attached. He put gags in their mouths in case they woke up before he reached his destination. It wasn't easy, but he managed to get them both into a large canvas bag he'd bought especially for the occasion. Using a dolly and a portable hoist, he placed them in the trunk of the Bentley, then closed and locked the lid. He got into the car and hit the road. Upon reaching his destination several hours later, he noticed movement inside the bag and opened the lid. Two confused heads peeked out of the bag and looked around in the darkness fearfully. Michael walked over to them, carrying a small stun gun. "If you promise to be quiet, I'll remove the gags and answer any questions you have," he said. "But if you scream, I promise you won't like the results," he added, picking up the stun gun. They nodded their heads, and Michael pulled the gags from their mouths. "Where are we?" asked Christy in horror. "Who are you? What's going on?" "Yeah," said Jake. "What is happening?" "According to my GPS, this is the same place where your husband killed himself," said Michael. "Killed himself?" asked Christy. "What are you talking about?" "Yes, he told me about the way you treated him the last couple years, depriving him of sex, cuckolding him, humiliating him," said Michael. "Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot my manners. You probably think I'm Mike. I'm actually his twin brother, Michael. Not only do we share the same DNA, but we have the same first and last name. I warned him about you, Christy, but he wouldn't listen. You know, I was about to say something when the preacher said, 'If anyone has any reason why these two shouldn't get married.' But he didn't," he added, holding two fingers very close together. "You see, Christy, although Mike and I have a lot in common, we're actually quite different. He was a malleable man who got along with everyone. Unlike me, confrontation just wasn't good for him. He loved you with all his heart and was willing to endure almost anything to make you happy. On the other hand, I saw right through you from the beginning. I knew you were a conniving fool who would cheat on him at the first opportunity. I hoped I was wrong for his sake, but unfortunately I was right," he said. "Mike never talked about having a brother," Christy said. "No, it was at my insistence," Michael said. "You see, officially I don't exist. I'd tell you why, but then I'd have to kill you." He laughed. "Oh, wait. I know it's dark right now, so you probably won't recognize your surroundings," Michael added, finishing laughing at his own joke. "We're in the deepest part of Bottomless Lake, the very place where Mike ended it all just a few days ago. You see, he couldn't stand what you did to him anymore and decided to leave for good. I tried to stop him, but he was inconsolable." Tears streamed down Christy's face. "He killed himself?" she asked. "I never wanted him dead." Michael snorted. "Bullshit, stupid," he said. "You said yourself you didn't love him. You might as well have put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger." Michael looked at Jake. "And you, asshole. You pretended to be his best friend. You never answered my question. What kind of friend steals his friend's wife?" he asked. "The truth is, you were never his friend. You used him to get what you wanted. You enjoyed coddling him, cuckolding him, humiliating him every chance you got." "But you promised me we'd spend the rest of our lives together," Jake said. "You lied to me. You deceived me." Michael laughed. "I told you that you two would spend the rest of your lives together," Michael said. "Only I didn't say your lives would abruptly end. So yes, you will spend the rest of your lives together. You'll even die together. Fitting, since you both conspired against my brother." "Please don't do this," Christy pleaded. Michael looked at her. Mike told me he said the same words to you before you humiliated him and made him a cuckold, Michael said. But you just laughed in his face and told him to go away. You're crazy, she said. You'll never get away with this. Michael shrugged. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not, he said. But when your suicide letter is found in your computer, it won't matter anymore. Though I have to admit it's a touching letter. But changing the subject, you do know that no one has ever found the bottom of that lake, right? And there's enough weight on the chain around you to make your descent quick. I estimate you two will last no more than 60 seconds before you pass out. You might even live a few minutes after that. At any rate, enjoy. Michael opened the bag fully and tipped it over, as both passengers, struggling, fell into the water. Enjoy your swim, he said as he watched the bubbles rise to the surface. Soon the bubbles stopped. Michael started the motor and headed back to the dock, orienting himself to the marina lights. He parked the boat, turned it off, and jumped into the Bentley. He mentally noted that he needed to burn the bag to destroy any evidence of its former contents. He pulled out his cell phone and sent a text message. Done. The reply came almost instantly. Thanks, bro. Enjoy the ride. The end. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you.